Morning students, in this module we are going to see classification of contract. So what is contract? Contract is an agreement enforceable by law. So the classification of contracts comes under according to enforceability, according to formation and according to performance. Let's see one by one. So first one is void agreement. Agreement not enforceable by law is said to be void. A void agreement is void ab initio. That is, it is a Latin word. It means from the beginning. At no stage an agreement become enforced. For example, we can say an agreement with a minor or agreement with an unsound person or agreement without consideration all comes under void agreement. It means that from the beginning it becomes the void, which is not enforceable by law. Second point is that void contract. A contract which ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. A contract may be valid at the time when it is entered into, but later on it becomes void. For example, let's say P agrees to marry Q's daughter, but before marriage P dies. So a valid contract, but later on it becomes the void. Another example, we can say that M enters into contract with N, who is in a foreign country. So to import goods or export goods. Later on, when they are entering, it becomes a valid contract. But later on, what happens? A war happens between the country. So that time, the contract becomes void, where we cannot do import or export between the countries. This is called as a void contract. Third one is voidable contract. A voidable contract, it means an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties, but not at the option of other or others. Here, let's see an example. So X at a knife point gets the Y's consent that for the sale of latest house worth rupees 15 lakh to 5 lakh. That is, Y's house 15 lakh worth has been obtained by X for 5 lakhs by threatening him. So here the Y can go to court and put a case on X by saying that the concern has get from the by fraud or by threatening me. So here Y's concern will be accepted by the court. So any contract, that this contract becomes a voidable contract. Another example, a patient who finds the doctor attending on him is charging unreasonable fair price, that is unreasonable fee, can apply to the court for relief, and there is a scope to use undue influence in the view of doctor's position, and the patient here is a vulnerable position, is that is inferior position is only for the patient, whereas here doctor is a superior position. So in this contract also, the contract becomes a voidable contract. Next comes the illegal agreement. An agreement is illegal if the activities of parties involved in the commission of crime or which violate the basic public policies or immoral in nature. These and all comes under illegal agreement, which is not enforceable by law. So for a simple example, we can say that giving bribe to an official for a favor. So this and all comes under the illegal agreements. Next we will go on to the formation. According to formation, first one is express contract. Or express contract is nothing but both the parties entered will be in the form of words, that is spoken or written, but mostly the usually it will be in the written form. For example, X offers to sell his house to Y for 15 lakhs. So Y accepts X offer and they both sign the contract prepared on the stamp paper. The paper should be stamp paper and it should be duly signed by the witnesses. Then the contract becomes a valid contract and it becomes an express contract. Next one is the implied contract. Implied contract does not arise with express way. It is in the express promise, but the parties may be inferred by the act or according to the circumstances of these conditions. Here we can see the example. The offer by the cinema theatre to and its acceptance by the movie goer. So here, what is the work of the cinema theaters? They will provide the ticket, and what is the movie going? They will see the film. So here, it is an implied contract. It may not be in the form of express one. It is according to the act it happens. So this is called as a implied contract. Next comes the quasi contract. It is not actually entered by the parties but is imposed on by the party by law. here this quasi contract, the basic principle is that the person should not enjoy or allowed to be enjoy certain benefits unreasonably at the cost of another. Here a simple example I will give. A pays B's electricity bill when the latter is not in station to avoid electricity bill. Later on, what B has to do? B is now under a quasi contractual obligation to return the money to A. Another example is that certain goods meant for A has been delivered by mistake by the trader of B. So A's goods has been by mistakenly given to B. Trader to B. B consumes the good, but now what B has to do? B has to, under a quasi contract obligation, he has to pay the price to the trader A. This is called as a quasi contract. Next comes, according to the performance, three contracts: executed contract, executory contract, and partly executed contract. So first let's see executed contract. Executed contract is nothing but a contract is to be executed when both the parties fulfill their obligation